Welcome to this exciting compilation video covering episodes 6 to 12, letting you catch up with the entire series in 30-minute segments. Welcome to this exciting episode where we see me cock up my first carbon infusion brilliantly. I make pretty much every mistake. So while you watch me getting excited about a cardboard box of stuff, remember, this was a prototype. This was expected to go wrong. And the great thing about prototypes is you can learn from your mistakes. Boy, did I do a lot of learning. Anyway, on with the film. Basically, I want to make something like this cardboard, but out of carbon fibre. So 2 flat bits with a step between it. First thing I need is a mould with 2 flat bits and a step between it. Fortunately, I've got a glass mould. Nothing sticks to glass. It'll be really easy. And I put a fillet of wax down there to make sure the curves on the corners, everything's going to go perfectly. Make sure you do this work in a nice warm room. Nope, 9 degrees is not warm enough. Cut out a paper template to make the carbon the right size, taped it down. Yep, that's a mistake, it pulls the fabric apart. So my layup stack is going to be a 212 carbon fibre, the Soric 212 carbon fibre. I've got some tape on the left edge, which I'm going to put right the way around the edges so the Soric doesn't stick out the sides. Watch out, this stuff frays really easy. The composite stack's now on the mould and the tack tape is down outside. I even spotted in advance my mistake. The carbon fibre is too close to that tack tape. So when I lay the peel ply over the top, I remedy that. So here it is with the mesh over the top, the spiral feed. Tack tape's got some pleats in there to help with the vacuum bagging. Let's go to the fun of the vacuum leaks. So this was the first vacuum test. You can tell from the cheery note of my voice when I still heard a vacuum hiss. That changed.
Oh, I can hear some hissing here.
I probably spent an hour chasing this vacuum leak. I put more and more tacky tape around stuff. I doubled up on the edges. I even took the whole envelope off, double tacked around the outside and relaid it from scratch to get rid of it. Every time the valve just drops away when you turn off the pump. It drives me absolutely crazy. Eventually, I worked out what it was. The bloody mould itself was leaking. That wax seal I put across the bottom between the glass and the MDF, that wasn't holding air. And that's where the bloody leak was. You might be wondering why I'm now pouring resin if you just said the mould leaks. Well, I figure if I get the resin into the carbon somehow or other and just leave it to go off, that's basically a wet lay. It doesn't sound any better now, but listen to me then, how tired and weary I was when I tried to explain it to myself.
Okay, so we know the resin infusion won't work, but we're going to use infusion to get the resin into the carbon to do the wet layup. Yeah, you know when you're following down the path of the mistake, you should turn round. Let's carry on regardless. Okay, so resin, vacuum, pump, leak. Nothing for it. Let's watch it go. Let's hope there's easier for the resin. Oh, hey, there it goes. You can see it advancing. This is real time at the moment.
And here are the bubbles in the corner of the mould. Bastard bollocks and bastard bubbles. Anyway, let's skip forward. We've done the infusion. We've left it overnight, blah, blah, blah. New morning, new adventure. Things don't get better. Carbon's sort of set, but it's tacky on the surface. So we build an oven.
And there we have the DS 911 autoclave. I think this is the same model that Koenigsegg used, but I don't think they showed it in their videos. Anyway, heater, insulation, and then there's carbon fibre.
Forget how it looks, the main thing is it works. It's 11.5 degrees outside, and in the oven, we've got 40 degrees. I said 40 degrees.
Well, I've taken the oven down, going to debag it. I thought you'd want to be here for that exciting moment.
Yeah, debagging is so fucking thrilling. I fast forwarded through it.
A few wedges. Oh. That one's going under. Not sure the carbon fibre should be bending like that.
I thought I'd leave that bit in me sounding happily surprised something seemed to be working. Don't worry, it didn't last. It took me bloody hours to get the thing off. I ended up having to nuke it from space.
And with one ping, it's free. How long did it take? Well, let's just say the battery's flat on the phone, which is why you can't see it being released for real. Mixture of tools, mostly that to get the edges lifted, big wedges to get under it, hammer to push them under further, and once they're disappeared under there, chisel on the end of them to pop it up, and then it popped free. Right, I'm going to trim the carbon fibre and continue the theme of ignoring good advice. So using a good Dremel, I'm going to use an angle grinder, and I'm going to do it outside in the dark. But I will be wearing a breathing mask. Well, first cut went okay. Just put the blue tape to minimise splinter, but seems to have worked. You can see how rough that surface is there, but you know what? That's not bad. It's not too bad. A few bubbles. More importantly, I think it'll work.
Welcome to the first episode where we make some progress. Quick rattle through the history. I made that mould, the plug in the garage didn't work, so I stripped the car down, thought we'd do it on the car. That was a good idea. Quick look around the Porsche. Oh look, some damage on the front bumper. Get back to that later. Anyway, looking around, radiators, carbon ceramic brakes, aircon pipes all over the place. Inside there, we're not going to be doing too much. That's a fuel tank. You've got the stereo and all the amps and electrics there, battery, brakes. All good.
So, having discarded the frame of the garage, I've now mounted that wing on there. As you can see, it's still the cut up one. And the next steps really are to build a platform to mount my headlights on. I want the headlights about there-ish.
That platform is that carbon fibre piece you watched me make last episode, I hope. And here you can see me mock it up with MDF.
Just come to try to do my first measurement and notice that interesting thing. So this side, this bracket comes to here. Look, just forward of that seam. Over here, this one is back from that seam. It's also got a lot of gloopy, sticky stuff over it. Yeah, so in the same way that's got a tear on the end of that thing. I think this has been pranged at some point, and that's been added in. So I can't even use a car as a square thing to take the measurements off. Bollocks.
I got about this far mocking it up in MDF before the storm came along and pissed my chips. So I went back and decided to do the top of the wing of spray foam, which you saw in the previous episode. Anyway, in the morning, here's the spray foam. It looks a bit rough, but we'll get there. So it's out with the kebab knife and let's make the first squeaky cut. Just listen to this. This goes on for ages as you cut smaller and smaller pieces and then resort to some 80 grit to a wooden block.
So, after much sanding and shaping, you can see this foam. This is why I hate this foam. It's full of little holes. They could really do with filling. I might get some drywall muck and use that. Yeah, it makes a mess. Yeah, it makes a mess. There's some offcuts. And then on this side, again, lots of holes, but smooth, blended in the right shape.
I called those as good and was happy with the shape, so taped some silver foil over the top to stop the next storm ruining them.
And you join me this morning as the bird's just awaking, crowing away happily. And I'm back on the car again. Okay, so now I want to create something to go down this side of that wing, basically extend that blue tape right the way down here. Well, the birds have stopped singing or squawking, but we have our basic divider between the wing and the bonnet. Now I need to transfer that PU template onto the timber.
And with the timber hot glued to the bonnet shuts, I can start building up the wing in foam. There's a short delay while I build a carbon fibre shelf, as you saw in a previous episode.
With the headlight fitted, you can almost imagine the car. That piece is going to slot inside the wing, so I need to build the wing over the top of that, around this side, underneath level with that, and coming down here. The front wing's basically shaped, but the hole for the headlight is rectangular, and the headlight isn't. Rather than trying to carve out all those fancy places, I've covered that in tin foil, and I'm going to put it in there, and then spray some foam around the corners, and that'll make it the perfect shape, so I can just slide it back out, and then shape that accordingly. Now I just hope and pray I can get that headlight back out. Oh, one thing. That's the can I used last time. The nozzle exploded, pissed everywhere, pain in the arse. This time I used this one, and it was really easy to use. So avoid Sudol and use Sudol.
So here comes the ground extraction, remove the headlight protector, start tugging away the paper, and yay, it comes out nice and easy. Pull the paper lining away to reveal a headlight-shaped hole. Now we have the wing blocked up. Once the daylight comes, we can start shaping that wing. And here we are in the morning, looking at the car, looking at the model, looking at the car, looking at the model. I'll sod this. Let's get the kebab knife out. That squeaking's getting my tits, so I've turned the volume off. Basically, I'm just cutting away little bit by little bit. Don't want to cut too much away because I want to leave this oversized so I can sand it, shape it, etc. in the future. You can't uncarve this stuff. But watch, look, laugh. Oh, once I finish carving, I then go into the sanding. Then I go back, carve a bit, look at the model, sand, carve, blah, blah, blah. Used a roll of lining paper to make a template for the wheel arch again, cut it undersized so I've got room to play with later. And I got bored of watching that, so here's the wing as I'm going to leave it. It's not finished, it's oversized. The top of it needs to be higher and more curvaceous, but what I want to do is do the other wing and the bonnet, then I can carve both sides, look at them and see how the whole thing works. So that's going to get left alone. Welcome to this exciting episode where I ruin carbon fibre, I get a bonnet, I make a wing, I nearly burn the garage down when Porsche gets a leak. Oh shit, the other footage started. Hang on, we'll go to that now. What you've just seen is me making an envelope bag for resin infusion, which is bad, but I got the drop test to work, so that's good. The envelope bag is bad because it ripples underneath and on top and you get wavy carbon fibre. But as you'll see, that's the least of our problems. Look at the cup on the left, it's almost out of resin, still got to finish that gap. Will I make it? That's not the problem I'm going to face. With the vacuum holding and the resin fully infused, put the oven over it to keep it warm. What could possibly go wrong? Oh shit. The heater overheated, melted the vacuum pipe, half the vacuum bag, almost set the garage on fire. Yippee fucking doodah. Don't tell the wife, but I put it in the sauna to finish off the baking. It actually worked. So then it's on to the bonnet. Yay, it's a sunny day and the bonnet's arrived. These things are over £1,000 new. You might notice this one's not exactly new, but I don't care because what I'm actually using is flip it over the backside. I want that framework, the X frame, because that's going to provide the stiffness from the plug, and also the shape around the windscreen. So let's get the angle grinder out, get rid of the bits of bonnet I don't want. I like a bit of angle grinding. Ooh, need to rake up the leaves and feed the lawn as well. Anyway, let's see if we can remove this bonnet. Nope, doesn't look like we can. More grinding. Turns out Porsche use glorified hot glue to hold their bonnets together. So, blast it with a heat gun, wiggle it with the persuading stick, it all falls apart. So, by the end of the day, the new bonnet was fitted. You might have just spotted the second wings being made as well. That's just a repeat of the first. Nothing fancy, nothing interesting. It's just not been carved as nicely as the first one was. While filming that clip, I spotted this. Turns out Porsches don't have drain holes in their fronks. So I added one, before cracking on with the tedious job of gluing the boards to the new bonnet frame. Look, I told you waiting for the glue to dry as we glue it together is tedious. Anyway, there's a bonus carbon fibre bit at the end of this episode, and in the next episode, I'm going to be making the air dam and bumper to fill that gap and hide all the ugly bits underneath the car. Here's your thrilling bonus content where I compare and contrast the two carbon fibre layers I did. Remember, these were both totally fucked up, but they're fucked up in different ways. Let's have a look at the differences.
Fucking shitty weather. Right, here's my Mark 1 board. And you can see how thick the carbon fibre is there. Remember, this is really badly laid, which is why you got lumps like that. Mark 2 carbon fibre is only 2 plies thick, not the 4. So, visibly thinner. Ignore the wobbles, that's because of the crap layup. If you look at the bit of carbon fibre where it's not got reinforcement, very flexible. But if you look at the corner, you can see the reinforcement triangle here. That piece, very stiff. Pretty much comparable. Strange.
Welcome to this exciting episode where we build an air dam. For those who know what one of those is, it's a bit below the shiny chrome bumper. In the olden days, we used to think air dams should stop all air going into a car. Now we realise it's all more about airflow management, so some of these designs are kind of wrong. Anyway, you can see the view out of the car, you can see the radiators. We need to be able to let air get to those radiators, and we need to get the air going smoothly under the car. Looking from the front, you can see the side radiators, the one in the middle, and the one on the left has got a plastic shroud over it. It's just a plastic shroud put by Porsche to redirect the air because they couldn't make the holes in their bumper line up with their radiators. What it does mean is we can channel the air to get to these radiators. I mark the bumper shape onto one of the pieces of foam, glue one on the back of it, and cut them both together. That way, they're the same, and when I put them side by side, they'll be symmetrical. Then, for reasons I don't remember, I made a second copy of the bumper. I'm guessing it was late. It looks dark outside.
More weather, more damage. All the fucking protection. Let's hope the foam hasn't taken up too much water.
After that joyous start to the morning, I had a cup of coffee, gave myself a stiff talking to, and did a trial fit, just taping it on. The bumper is symmetrical, it's wrong size both sides, and actually I'm going to shape the bonnet based on the bumper rather than normally you take the bumper off the car. But hey, let's see what happens. I'll spare footage of glue drying, but it was bloody cold and this all delayed stuff. But eventually I got the bumper, which looked not too bad actually. Needs to be a little bit deeper, but I was quite pleased with the way it's going. As the weather was still shit, I decided to work indoors and make the plugs for the chrome bumper pieces. This was actually easier than I feared. I glued a bit of white plastic pipe to the saw deck so I had something to pivot the foam around as I cut it, and this ensured it was all cut to the same depth. Some crafty slopey sawing gave me the right profile, and then these were set aside for later. Back on the air dam, I added the final layer, then sanded and shaped it. This had to have a fair overhang at the back because it was going to connect to the panel which formed the flat floor under the car. Now I had the air dam working, it was time to cut in the vents. So that vent has to go to that hole. How hard could it be?
It's raining again, but I've got about as far as I can with this bumper. Cut the slat underneath it, which you should have seen from the photos is for that bit. I'm not going to use that, but give you the sizing. And clearly that is really quite flimsy now. My current thinking is I'm going to glass over the mould. That'll give it a bit more strength, and then I can fill over the glass to make it all nice and smooth and lovely. But I don't want to cut another hole there, and then another hole at that end, and then have the whole thing collapse on me.
Hello and welcome to this exciting episode where we use glass fibre to create some bumpers, strengthen the air dam plug, and start work on the bonnet. Sorry for the delay in getting this episode to you, but I had to dig 600 metres of bike track and repair a minor mechanical malady on my truck. Anyway, back to the plot. In the last episode I had this flexi-foam air dam that I wanted to strengthen with glass. I thought I'd start with a smaller piece to practice on.
Today I'm going to put some fiberglass around this because it's not very strong. I'm going to do the same to the main mould, but having never done fiberglass before, I thought I'd start with something simple in case I fuck it up, and then I can always redo it. We're going to put that on there, put the glass over it, and let it go off overnight. It's not warm, and apparently I should wait till it's, warm, but, well, we'll see how it goes. Okay, ready to resin. Because it's cold, I've put that into a bowl of water, just get it a little bit fluid. I've got the choice of slow hardener or fast hardener. Because I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to use the slow. And I've got a little roller and a flexi roller because it's a funny shape. Let's give it a go. We start off with weighing and mixing the resin. Lots of weighing, lots of mixing. We only do a little bit because I've got no idea how much I'm going to use. Then paint it onto the plug, slap it all over. This will allow the cloth to actually stick to the plug properly. Then more resin over the cloth to make sure it's properly wetted out. Then another layer of cloth to make it slightly too strong. But hey, we can live with that. So we're back today, and yeah, it's nice and stiff. Looks like a air bubble there. Sure, that's a problem with it. For some things, it's not ready for this. That's more of a problem. We've got a ripple. I understand that. Yeah, that's not good. It's not too bad. It'll sand off. There was a slight delay while I insulated the garage with foil bubble wrap, and then I glassed over the front air dam. Much the same as a bumper, just bigger, more awkward, and more time-consuming. But I'm happy I no longer have a flexi air dam, I have a stiff air dam. The quick trial fit looks okay for the air dam. There's obviously problems around the bonnet, big gaps there. More worryingly, the bonnet doesn't curve like it should. It's too flat. There's gaps around this side as well. And like with that curve front to back, there should be a centre line down the bonnet with sloping off to the edges. That needs rectifying before we go too much further. Before I can do too much restyling on the bonnet, I need to stiffen it up. That is not the optimum level of stiffness. You can see that the foam isn't really stuck to the metal bonnet, and that will need to be rectified. So back to the garage to glass that a lot together. With the bonnet on a flat table in the garage, I need to chock it up to keep the shape, and then weight it down to stop the cracks appearing. The process for glassing under the bonnet is pretty much as you'd expect. Get the cloth, cut it to size, realise you've run out of it, but we'll make do with what we've got. Then start mixing up the resin. We're going to need quite a lot for this.
then realise you've mixed up so much you can't actually fit your spoon in the pot. So get another pot, mix that together. This is actually quite good practice because you should swap between the pots and that way it gets properly mixed up and there's none stuck to the edges. Splash it all over the foam. Make sure you cover the frame as well. This is what the glass is going to stick to. Then you put the glass on top of that. You wet through the glass and put the second sheet down. Find a spare scrap, glass that in, and then leave it to go off overnight. Yeah, that took a bit longer than the audio because it's all speeded up, of course. It's the morning, so has the resin hardened? Yep, it has. With the resin all hardened, I can now start taking away the chocks and the braces and the weight and see if the bonnet is actually stiff enough to start shaping. Welcome to this exciting episode where I make the bonnet fit the bonnet hole and then shape it to look like the Citroen. Let's start with making it fit the hole. Starting to shape the bonnet, I wanted to make sure this line here was properly closed. I plan to shave that down, raise it up in the middle. Put a plastic bag, taped it underneath of the bonnet, and that came out reasonably well. So I thought, oh, I'll do the other side. Did much the same. Oh, obviously didn't take quite as much care because there's a huge bit there, nothing down there. Yeah, and just because I had the little splash at the end, I chucked some under here, and now I've got a big blob there. I do want this area raised up, not that much, but so I can get a curve. So I'm gonna probably get some more, put that back over. Put that back over there and give myself a more curved bonnet. But yeah, some spray foam, and I'll put the air dam back on so I can work out where those gaps there and there were. So plastic bag down here, plastic bag down here, fill that messy bit there, fill that messy bit there, and hopefully we'll be somewhere to go. Right, let's put the air dam on. So here it is with the air dam on, the plastic bags around there, and squirt the foam in. Don't forget this foam expands, so it's going to get even messier than it is at the moment. To try and reduce that mess and make the foam more solid and moldable later, I squish it in place with the plastic bags. Rain stopped play, so I went back the following morning, removed the plastic bags, dripping with water. Let's see what we've actually got once these bags are removed. If you look really closely in this clip, you can see that the foam has expanded more than I wanted, so I think there's going to be a little bit of trimming needed here. Yeah, those overspills definitely need cutting back. In fact, if you look from the side, that black metal bonnet is raised, so it doesn't even close properly now. After a little bit of trimming, it's looking a lot neater, and this side at least looks like the bonnet's closing okay. On this side, however, no. After much cutting and shaving of foam, I managed to get the bonnet to close and decided to work on the distinctive centerline of the DS bonnet. And while that is the centerline, it's not the curve I want, so I carefully sanded it down to the line. Well, one of the lines, and got the curve I wanted the bonnet to reflect. To get the correct scientifically calibrated parabola from the centerline to the edge of the bonnet, I used a bit of lining paper left over from decorating the dining room, sprayed foam inside of it, and it sort of worked to shape. I was so stunned with my engineering prowess, I did the rest of that side of the bonnet and then went for a quick lie down. The next day was sunny as well. We were on a roll. We removed all the paper, and I mean, how can I put this? Fuck me, it worked. Bit of trimming with a knife, and that actually is roughly sort of almost good. Okay, maybe not good, but good enough to do the other side of the bonnet the same way. And we got sunshine, so we're rocking. Who mentioned the bloody sunshine? All right, so next morning we take off the sopping wet paper, and yeah, apart from the square at the front when I ran out of foam, it's much the same. I thought I'd check the weather forecast, see if we're going to get any rain. See those bloody great clouds? They're heading straight towards me in Southampton. This weather's pissing me off big time. I'm thinking I'm going to try and take this inside. So, whip the bonnet off, shape it inside. Obviously, I need to fill that bit there with foam. This, I've got the centre spine, show me how high it goes. This edge, I need to come down. I want to get that line there slightly lower. So, I've marked
down there somewhere with a red pen. I'm going to shave from there down to that, shape the bonnet that way. Hopefully that'll give me a roughly shaped bonnet that I can then plonk back on again, see how it lines up, then I'll bottom line the wings up. So getting there, just about getting there.
Once I've got the bonnet in the garage, it looks almost perfect. Okay, it still looks shit, but at least it looks shit in the dry. If I trim the edge down to that line, hopefully most of these bubbles and imperfections will go, then just fill the missing bit of foam there. It's going to be perfect.
Well, I'm in the garage now, so fuck you weather. Got my zub tool. Going to shave this to shape. I've made this scientific engineered bit of MDF profile. Gives you a rough idea of where I should be going. I've got a feeling it's going to get messy. I'm not sure how much you'll see through the dust. But let's give it a go. See what this does. So I want to come down to this line. Oh, got a picture in the corner just to show you. Yeah, looks nothing like this. And in just moments we have half a bonnet and a load of offcuts.
Let's fast forward through a couple of hours of zub, and we'll take it out for a trial fit. It actually looked better than I feared, pretty close to fitting, so back to the garage for some finessing.
Well, here we are, Easter weekend. It's going to be finishing the bonnet off, fitting it, showing you how lovely it looked. But guess what? The weather happened. Anyway, the bonnet's pretty smooth. It's been shaved with my zub tool, sanded with my sander. Most of the work was actually done with the hand rasp to get it shaped down there. It now has the curve side to side like it should have, and the line in the middle, so I'll make it better in the future. Unfortunately, yeah, let's jump to the picture.
Yeah, I got to run out in the middle of a storm, pick up half the front wing and the air dam, and try and get them back in the garage.
So the air dam fell off. That's okay, that's nice and hard. Thank goodness I put that into glass. This front wing is a little worse for wear. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But the Easter bank holiday was going to make everything wonderful. Now it's going to be, I don't know, I might do something, I might not. But anyway, there's the bonnet. I'm a bit pissed off at the moment, so I'm going to call this a day for this video.
And indeed this compilation. But the next compilation gets enthusiastic and excited all over again.